the further back in time, that's why I say the caliber of dudes were different. They were more so like on your line. Everybody couldn't hustle. Everybody couldn't sell dope anyway. Everybody could not sell heroin, which we call dope, in Baltimore, because I know like you go to different areas, you go down south, they dope might be weed, they dope might be crack, but where I'm from, dope is heroin. That's strictly if somebody say dope things, they talking about heroin. So fast forward time, of course, the feds might have came in, swooped up, they might have was on organized crime mainly, because they the federal system. So of course you had crews like Anthony Jones and Elway and them, they was beefing. So they went with the feds. They all wound up being co-defendants. That's kind of crazy. But when I speed up the time, I'm gonna show you a whole nother group that went out like Anthony Jones and, Elway and them, they kind of like clashed and they wind up all, going with the feds and they wind up all being co-defendants. So I'm gonna fast forward the time a little bit. Like I said, the music, the pop music was real influential in the streets and the culture, even down to like dressing and all that, Wu-Tang, seeing like Capone Noriega, different people, had a major influence on our dress code and the way we was acting. So, we would have like Super Tims, like I said, baggy clothes, fatigues, army fatigues, big polo shirts, just all that type of stuff. So, and the reason why I know music is so influential because I was on that pop music, I put that pop up in me. When I say up in me because music is like a drug for real. And it's like when you put music up in you, you kind of like adapt to the characteristics of what you putting up in you. So I used to put that pop up in me, fast forward a little bit further, I started putting Jay-Z up in me. So I want to thank Jay definitely, for making me transition from just wanting to, be like a super thug to wanting some money. Because when when I'm listening to like In My Lifetime Volume 1 and stuff like that, just like 97, I wanted to pop Cristal, shit like that, because I heard Jay saying it, niggas popping that Cristal when all y'all thought it was being shit. Shit like that made you want to be intrude, you know what I'm saying, and trying to be what's Cristal? Like, shit, I want to afford me, so I want to get some money. Them niggas getting money. So it's kind of like what you listen to is kind of like your output. So Tupac kind of took over me when I had other homeboys that DMX straight took over. So they were they was on super robbery status. We was all robbing and stuff like that. My whole neighborhood, to be honest, straight up, niggas was robbing. Like that's, because I'm one that believes that environment dictates character. What you see is what you will get, straight up. Environment dictates character. And I'm not trying to say like nobody don't have choices in life, but for the most part, your environment going to kind of give you the chance of how your outcome going to look, along with the music you put up in you. I'm going to keep saying that because I really know that in my heart. I feel that in my heart, and I know that in my mind that the music, play a major role in your outcome. So back to what I was getting to, back it was still a lot of money, in the mid 90s, late 90s, it was still money, Cash Money they kind of changed the game with music. They kind of made it where it's though money, like you want to get money, you want to stun out, and they gave you still a little bit, gutter edge too, you know what I'm saying, for like people that was more so like listening to mainly like BG, they was more so like still strictly on some thug shit, But I want to touch on around 99ish, around when O'Malley came in office, should I say, he had like he had this vengeance against selling drugs. He thought like that was going to be like the answer, to everything, which he couldn't stop. So he went around starting trying to cop in different neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying? And he came through our neighborhood and tried to cop, and nobody served. Niggas like, yo, I think that's the new mayor, nigga, you know what I'm saying? But he was successful up in the school building up North Avenue, up north in Washington. So speaking of North Avenue, it was a crew, they was beefing North Avenue and the Hot Boys. They had Leon and Bootman and them. They was the Hot Boys. They was beefing with like Sean Henry and them, like the North Avenue boys. So the feds, once again, come around when it's organized. So This around the time when I think they started, knocking off a few other little crews, because one thing about the federal government, they don't like a group that can organize. They don't like organizations that's within the black community. Any kind of organizations, they really don't really like, especially if you're a black man and you could get some people together to be outlaws. They really don't like that. So, and that's on any level of the government, whether it's municipal, state, or federal. So, we got the feds in our town, because you got to realize we didn't even have a DEA office in Baltimore. Baltimore ain't even have a DEA office, back then or whatever. So now they starting to look at organized crime. This around the time frame of our gang activity started rising a little bit, 2000, 2001, 02, Bloods, they had a nice, they had their reign. They had a nice hold on, the jail system, and it was starting to spill out into the streets real heavy. It been like up like Harford County and stuff. I want to say, man, it been Bloods. It been like New York dudes kind of like bringing that blood stuff like in Harford County, so it been like Bloods in Harford County, but I'm speaking specifically about Baltimore City. So Bloods start really coming around, in particular, they were Piru. Yeah, we got Piru in our city. You know what I'm saying? So they might got Treetop. They might got different Piru sects, but one infamous, group of Bloods that's from Baltimore, that's, up out of Baltimore, is Treetop Piru. And they had a stronghold, in the prison system. And also they started, spilling out into the streets. But what was happening was, because they was in the prison system, they was starting to do a lot of robbing, extorting. They was doing just a lot of shit, that, a lot of gang activity do. So, like I said, it was spilling out into the streets. The niggas was starting to, kill them too. And they were, starting to do some killings. And, so the way they was carrying it inside of the prison system, or should I say is mainly over the jail, because I'm only speaking for what I know, they asked for a lot of opposition. They asked for another group to like join the legions, or another, little clique to just form up. Like they started making people hate the Bloods. You know what I'm saying? So now you got the rise. I'm going to say the rise of BGF, because BGF was already existing. Like I said, BGF been existing, early on, but it was underground because it was more secretive and it was a prison thing, So what happened was, it was a prison thing and they started recruiting, that's the difference between Bloods and BGF. I want to say, I know for a fact, and I'm not just saying that, you were able to join Bloods at this time. When they started getting their numbers up, you were able to just join being a Blood, because even they was on some, you gonna drop that flag and join us, like type of stuff like that. And what BGF was doing, they were recruiting. So the difference between joining and recruiting, you kind of can handpick what you like, who you like, and stuff like that. So back then, they were recruiting. They were recruiting strength. So they would recruit, different men that were men, from their neighborhood, or they could hold their own. They could hold their own in the jail, in a section, and their ideology sounded good, because where I come from, us as, young black men that come, fatherless environments, we love camaraderie. We love to feel a part. We love, to feel loved for real. So it was kind of like only natural that, people wanted to join together and for a cause. So they started recruiting men, and what happened was they started doing just like the Bloods after a while, because they was recruiting men. And then after a while, I'm going to say about 2006, should I say, because they started getting their numbers up real heavy, even in the prison system in 03, 04, 05, they started really getting their numbers up. 06, I want to say 06-ish, it came onto the streets of Baltimore. So when that came onto the streets of Baltimore, it started being just like how the Bloods was. People were able to just join, because, further back when they was in recruitment mode, they had the machine, and I don't want to get into it like I know all the logistics of none of these organizations, because I'm not. I don't. I don't know everything about the organizations, but I know what I know. That's all I'm gonna say. I know what I know. So, further back in time, you would have to go through a certain machine. You had to get fully scanned, shall I say, to even be a part.